Well, good morning there to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scott Manning coming to you live from Scott Manning YouTube Sports Talk. This is a very special edition of the Scott Manning YouTube College Football Podcast pregame show. It's a Friday morning special. I am so glad to have you here with me here this morning. We have a lot to talk about here in the next half hour, 45 minutes. I'm going to start it right out with Michigan, Ohio State, the biggest one here in the Columbus area. I have not forgotten about the battle out of the Big 12 tonight between Oklahoma and West Virginia. You'll get my preview on that. I'm also going to talk about Washington State. The winner of that one takes the Pac-12. And I'm also going to talk about the Mountain West Conference. I haven't talked about the Mountain West all year, but I have to tonight. Utah State faces Boise State tonight. And the winner will the winner of that one wins the Mountain Division of the Mountain West Conference and advances to the conference championship game there. I've also got the latest bowl projections. I forgot to write that down on my message board before I started. I do apologize for that. I'll correct that later on. And I've also got, is there enough chaos in this world for Central Florida to get in to the college football playoff? I got a long list of things that will need to happen. And for my closing thoughts, everybody's been hearing me talk about Northwestern and their record. But don't let their record fool you. They may be 7-4, but don't let that 7-4 record fool you, and I'll explain that towards the end of the show. But right now, let's get going, let's get started, and it's go time. Well, this is it, Big Ten fans. The Big Ten East is up for grabs tomorrow. Number 4, Ohio State. Number 4, Michigan. Number 10, Ohio State. As it stands right now, Michigan is a 5-point favorite going into the game tomorrow. Here's a lot of big questions that need to be answered. What Ohio State team will show up? Will it be the team that played against Michigan State, or will it be the team that played against Maryland and Purdue? I got a lot of worries. After what I saw last Saturday, poor Urban Meyer was going down so far, I thought he was going to be staring at his butt crack or something. I shouldn't sound like that, but it was the truth. I mean, Haskins, I'll tell you this. You better believe Michigan's got a football team this time. They're going to give Ohio State everything they have. Because here's why. Let's think about this. Jim Harbaugh, since the loss to Notre Dame, they've been on this big revenge tour. And they've beaten all their opponents except Notre Dame this season. What will happen tomorrow? Let's think about this. Michigan this time they have a team. I'm telling you right now. Shea Patterson, he's thrown for over 2,100 yards this season. Karan Higdon, he's got over 1,100 yards rushing himself. That's going to be the key factor. Can we stop the run? That's the big $64,000 question right there. And Devontae Peoples-Jones, he may only have 477 yards receiving this season, but don't let that fool you. They got a double threat there. Devontae Peoples-Jones, Zach Gentry, the double threat. That could be huge going into this game on Saturday. And the Michigan defense, they're just clicking on all cylinders. Kalahaki Hudson and company. They've done a lot of damage. I've seen what the Michigan defense can do. This year, the Wolverines have grown up big time. Do I like Jim Harbaugh? No. But I will say this, I'll give Harbaugh his dues. They've got a team this time that can and probably will, and I'm not going to say anything more. They could possibly get the job done. However, on the other side, we got Ohio State. Let's think about this. Dwayne Haskins has thrown for almost 3,700 yards this season. He has 36 touchdowns. Will he be a factor tomorrow? Big question there. J.K. Dobbins, he's only 95 yards short of having a 1,000-yard rushing season. Will he be a factor? And K.J. Hill has 772 yards in receiving and 5 touchdowns himself. Will he be a factor? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I grant you. I will say this, though. It's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. And you better believe we're going to have a battle between Michigan and Ohio State. And a lot of people have said we're wiping the slate clean. It's like wiping the slate clean and starting all over again when it comes to rivalry Saturday. And they're right. However, there's a lot of concerns here. Ohio State's offense has been averaging over 41.6 points per game. The Michigan defense has only given up 13 points against per game. And the question is, which Ohio State team will show up? Will it be the team that played against Michigan State and beat them 26-6? Or will it be the team Or will it be the team that we saw against Purdue? That's another worry right there. Or will it be the team that we saw against Maryland? And I mean, last Saturday, my heart was skipping. It took me about 2 hours to come back down to earth after that game. I'm not going to lie to you. But I will say this, though. There's a lot at stake on Saturday. And everybody realizes that this is it. Michigan is a 5-point favorite. And a lot of people have said if Ohio State wins, one of two things will happen. Either Ohio State will win a close one, or Michigan's going to blow Ohio State. They're going to run Ohio State right out of their own building. That remains to be seen. But my point is, Michigan's got a football team this time. They got a new big man on campus, and his name is Karan Higdon. He's going to be the big headache for Ohio State on Saturday. Now, Dwayne Haskins has thrown for almost 3,700 yards. But my concern is Higdon. That's the one we need to watch on Saturday. And that's all there is to it. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Will Ohio State pull off an upset, or will Michigan stay in the college football playoff? Or will Michigan go play for the Big Ten championship and keep their college football playoff hopes alive? Only time will tell that. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'm telling you, this is going to be a battle down the stretch. Whichever team wants it the most is going to be the team that takes this game away and wins it all. And good luck to both Michigan and Ohio State. May the best team win. And this is a rivalry game where anything can happen, and it usually does. The stakes are high. And we got a lot up for grabs on Saturday. And keep in mind, Michigan has the most to lose on this Saturday. All right, we need to move on. Tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN, number 6 Oklahoma, number 13 West Virginia. This is going to be a classic. This has got typical Big 12 shootout written all over it. Oklahoma coach Lincoln Riley has said he's got his guys ready. We're going to see how everything goes. West Virginia coach Dana Holgorsen has said, I'm not going to hype this game up too much. Everybody knows what's up for grabs. They know what's on and my players know what's on the line. Well, let's think about this. Look at the comparisons. I've looked at, and as it stands right now, Oklahoma is only a 2-point favorite. And this game is in Morgantown. Keep that in mind. And the winner of this game will play for the Big 12 championship. Now, Texas is got Kansas today. That should be an easy game for them. I'm not going to say anything yet. I didn't write any of the information down. But I will say this, though. This is going to be a battle tonight. Oklahoma's only a 2-point favorite. And there's not much if you look at the quarterback comparisons for both Oklahoma and West Virginia, there's not much difference. Oklahoma, Kyler Murray, 3,310 yards passing this season, 34 touchdowns. West Virginia's Will Grier, 3,325 yards, 33 touchdowns. The quarterback battle is going to be big tonight. And also, too, keep in mind, we got two of the biggest quarterback wide receiver combos tonight that you're going to see live here tonight on ESPN. For West Virginia, you've got Will Grier and David Sills. And you also got to and they also have an extra threat, Gary Jennings Jr. Keep him in mind. For Oklahoma, it's Kyler Murray and Hollywood Marquise Brown. That could be big down the stretch, too. And in the run department, Trey Sermon has 851 yards and 10 touchdowns for Oklahoma. And Kennedy McCoy has 648 yards and 6 touchdowns himself. Now, keep this in mind, too. Oklahoma's averaged almost 49.5 points per game, while West Virginia's only averaged 41. That could be huge tonight. And West Virginia is coming off of a bad loss to Oklahoma State on last Saturday. So keep that in mind, too. West Virginia is going to be playing angry. They're going to be playing like they're not in a good mood. Now, this is a big game. And keep in mind, everybody has it slated, the winner faces Texas for the Big 12 crown. Now, also think about this, too. Texas is probably going to blow Kansas' doors off. So I'm just going to say Texas, they're in. Any odd miracle, I'll be shocked. But I will say this, though. Texas owns a victory over both West Virginia and over Oklahoma, I mean. Now, you better believe West Virginia is going to want to beat Oklahoma because they want another shot at the Longhorn. Wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, West Virginia's beating Texas. My memory's kind of a little... I'm just so excited about tonight. My memory's off in La La Land. Now keep in mind, Texas owns a victory over Oklahoma. West Virginia's beat Texas. So this is going to be an interesting matchup tonight to see how this goes. Will Oklahoma get the rematch from the Red River Shootout, or will Texas get another crack at West Virginia for the Big 12 crown? Only time will tell that. But I will say this, though. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game goes tonight. And this is big. And you better believe the defenses will not be a factor. You know it's going to be a typical Big 12 shootout, which is a typical thing out of the Big 12. High flying home run passes, which would make my hair go, would make me want to pull my hair out. But anyway, I will say this though. It's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. Who will be the bigger factor tonight? Will it be Kyler Murray? Will it be Marquise Brown? Or should I say Hollywood Marquise Brown out of Oklahoma? Or from West Virginia? Will it be Will Grier? Because you got to remember, Grier's got a double threat. He's got David Sills and Gary Jennings Jr. That's big. And that could be huge going into tonight's ball game. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. And there's a lot at stake. The Big 12 championship, Oklahoma's fighting for a college football playoff spot, so they got the most to lose. West Virginia, not much. So if I was Coach Dana Holgrenson, I would say, let's go play, have fun, and let's stop Oklahoma, and maybe we can ruin the dream for them. I know it sounds crazy, but Oklahoma does have the most to lose because they're fighting for a college football playoff spot. They're in the top 6. They're part of that first 2 out. And that could be huge going down the stretch. And that's all I'm going to say for right now about this game. Good luck to both teams. May the best team win. And I'm going to tell you right now, every Oklahoma fan that watches my show, you're going to be saying, Scott, you're a great guy. And every Mountaineer fan and all the members of the West Virginia Redneck Association are saying, Scott, this is going to be a game in the trenches. It's going to be decided. And I'll tell you right now, if it means if I gotta go crazy, I will do it. But may the best team win. Oklahoma's a 2-point favorite, so keep that in mind going into tonight's game. And anything can happen on any given Saturday night, and it usually does. On any given night, and it usually does. All right, let's move on. The other game tonight, the other half of a double main event. I have a double main event tonight. You just heard the first part of the double main event. Oklahoma, West Virginia for the Big 12, for the right to go to the Big 12 championship. Now, let's focus on the other half of the double main event. Number 8, Washington State versus number 16, Washington. The winner of this game will win the Pac-12 North and play for the Pac-12 championship. This is huge. Washington State head coach Mike Leach has said, we got a lot to lose. We have a lot on our minds. And if we can get the job done tonight against our arch rivals, we'll get the job done. Washington coach Chris Peterson has said, I got a lot of respect for these guys. I've seen what Gardner Minshew can do. And all of us have. But the bottom line is we got Jake Browning, Myles Gaskin, and we can get the job done. And hopefully we can. Now, keep in mind, tonight in this game, Washington State is a 2-point favorite going into this contest. And as far as Washington State goes, they've been averaging almost 40.5 points per game. So you're thinking, oh, this is going to be an easy win for tonight. And it should be. A lot of people said they've got this game wrapped up. Gardner Minshew, he's already thrown for 4,300 yards this season. James Williams has 487 yards rushing. And Desmond Patman has 735 yards receiving. This is going to be a very interesting night. Jake Browning, everybody had him down as a Heisman Trophy favorite when the season started. Excuse me. Jake Browning was a Heisman Trophy favorite. He almost has 2,500 yards for passing this season, 16 touchdowns. Myles Gaskin's he's only 94 yards away from having a 1,000-yard rushing season. And Aaron Fuller has 754 yards and 4 touchdowns for himself. Now you're thinking, Scott, this is a big game. It's like wiping the slate clean. Now sometimes it can be. But when you have the Pac-12 North up for grabs, it changes a lot of things. Now, Washington's only averaged 28 points per game, but their defense has been stellar. They've only allowed 16 points against per game. Which Washington defense will show up tonight? Will it be this one, or will it be the one that lets the game get away? Now, Washington State's defense has been questionable. They've averaged 22.6 points against per game themselves. So something's got to give tonight. If Washington State wants to win tonight, they got to find a way to stop Jake Browning and Myles Gaskin. That's going to be the big thing. But if Washington wants to pull off the upset, I can point to one thing, and I can make it simple. Stop Gardner Minshew. It's very simple. If the Washington defense could stop him, they've got it. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is a game that's going to decide the Pac-12 North. And it changes a lot of perspectives, and it changes a lot of people's minds. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be there's a lot at stake. It could mean we'll see a lot of unnecessary roughness. We'll see a lot of those players tonight taking unnecessary chances. And I'd be willing to do that. And when there's a championship battle, it's not over yet. Forget about the Apple Cup. There's a trip to the Pac-12 championship at stake. But if I was a coach of either one of these two teams, I would tell my players, the Apple Cup is up for grabs. Let's go play. I would not even mention the Pac-12 North. Because if we mention that, we'll see a lot of stupid mistakes being made. I know it sounds crazy what I'm saying, but you got to understand. Sometimes if you have a battle like this, it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. This is going to be a game that's going to be decided on who wins the quarterback battle. If Gardner Minshew can throw a few home run balls, he's got it. But if the Washington defense can stop Gardner Minshew, give it to the Washington Huskies. And Jake Browning, and if the Husky defense can keep Gardner Minshew from being a factor, they've got it. Yeah, because that's basically the only thing I can point to. If the defense could get to him and they could stop the run, that'd be big too. If they could stop Desmond Patton tonight, that's going to really mean a lot here this evening. And now, let's move on to the next game on my list. I know it's rare I talk about the Mountain West Conference, but I have to address it. Utah State, number 21 Utah State, number 23 Boise State. The winner will play in the Mountain West Championship game for the Mountain West Conference title. And I haven't talked much about them this season. Utah State coach Matt Wells says, I've got a lot of respect for Boise State. These guys are playing hard, and they do everything they need to do. And Boise State coach Brian Harsin has said, these guys are a great team. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, there's been a lot of great moments in the history of this rivalry. I know it's rare we talk about it, but when there's a championship at stake, it's got to be addressed. All right, enough of the talk here, but we got to talk about this. Boise State is a 2-point favorite tonight, going into this game tomorrow night. Now, this is a late night game, so I may not be able to talk about it. However, it may get addressed anyway. Here's the thing. For Boise State, they are a 2-point favorite. Like I said, they've been averaging 37.4 points per game. The defense has only allowed 22.2 points against per game. That's huge too. For Utah State, they've averaged almost 50 points per game on offense, but the defense has been questionable too, at 22.1 points per game. Now, I don't know what the over-under is, but a lot of people say it should be about 100. Now, let's think about this a minute for Boise State. They're a 2-point favorite because of a couple of things. Number one, Brett Rippon, 3,270 yards passing this season and 28 touchdowns. Alexander Mattison, he's got over 1,000 yards rushing for the season and 13 touchdowns. And Sean Modster, he has 852 yards receiving this season and 7 touchdowns himself. That's huge. Now, for Utah State, Jordan Love, he's 155 yards short of having a 3,000-yard passing season. He has 2,845 yards passing and 25 touchdowns himself. Darwin Thompson, he's only 110 yards short of having a 1,000-yard rushing season. He has 890 yards right now and 14 touchdowns himself. And Raquavian Traver, he has 600 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns himself. This one here, folks, is going to have shootout written all over it. Now, keep in mind, it's the Mountain West. They're not a threat. And out in the Mountain West, I kind of call them the Big 12 of the West Coast. they're not afraid to put it up. They're not scared to put it up for grabs. They'll throw home run balls like you wouldn't believe. And the bottom line is, this one is going to be well worth the price of admission. And I'm going to say this right now. It's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. This could be a game that could be decided on who has the ball last. Most of these, and a lot of these games here this year have come down to it, especially down in the Big 12 and out in the Pac-12 as well. And I'm going to say this. This is going to be a battle of who wants it the most, and whoever answers the bell tonight is going to be the team that wins this game. That's all there is to it. And I'm going to tell you right now, whoever wants this battle tonight is going to be the team that takes it away. There's a lot at stake tonight, like I said. A lot at stake tomorrow night and a lot at stake tonight. And it's going to be very interesting to see how all these games go over this crazy weekend in college football. All right. Now, those are the 4 games I really wanted to talk about. Now, I've got the latest bowl projections. Due to some major upsets this past weekend, there's been a couple of changes that I want to bring to your attention. It basically revolves around the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Last weekend I had it West Virginia in UCF, and there's been some changes to that too. I'll get to that in a second. Now, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl on December 29th, it has it number 12 Penn State, number 11 Florida. What a matchup that would be. Trace McSorley versus Felipe Franks. That would be something to write home about. Now, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, no change. Michigan, Alabama. The Capital One Orange Bowl, no change. Notre Dame, Clemson. But, this is a biggie. New Year's Day at the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl would have number 9 UCF versus number 7 LSU. That's a biggie. I would pay top dollar to see that. And the Rose Bowl, no change. Washington State, Ohio State. All-State Sugar Bowl, same thing. Oklahoma, Georgia. Now you notice I said number 9 UCF would possibly play number 7 LSU in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. And you know what? Which leads me to my next story. Here's the question. Somebody asked me this the other day. Do you think, is there enough chaos in this world for UCF to get into the college football playoff? My answer is no, and here's why. I wrote down a list of things that would have to happen for UCF to get there. And let me see it. Okay, first and foremost, beat South Florida today. Then they play today. I think it's a 4:15 game. I don't know what station it's on. I don't know. Then they got to win the American Athletic Conference Championship. Then after that, they would need West Virginia to upset Oklahoma. Then after that, they would have to cheer for Texas to possibly upset West Virginia in the Big 12 championship game. Now that which leads, and also too, something else to think about. They would also need Ohio State to upset Michigan. That's an iffy on that one. And then on top of that, they would need Northwestern to upset either Michigan or Ohio State in the Big 10 championship. They would need, and I don't think that's not going to happen. And on top of that, they would need Clemson to lose to South Carolina, and then Clemson to lose to Pitt in the ACC championship game. Is that going to happen? I doubt it. Then, if that wouldn't happen, they would need USC to upset Notre Dame in the Coliseum on Saturday night. Will that happen? I'm not sure about that either. Then, the only thing I could see is Texas A&M possibly upset LSU. Now, that's a possibility. I'll keep that in mind. Then, they would need Washington to upset Washington State and possibly have Utah win the Pac-12 championship. So, is there enough chaos in this world to get UCF into the college football playoff? Now, beat South Florida, I'll give him that. Win the ACC, win the AAC conference championship, I'll give him that. West Virginia upset Oklahoma, I'll give that an iffy. Texas to win the Big 12 championship, that could be a possibility if Sam Ehlinger is healthy. So I'll put an iffy on that one. Northwestern to win the Big 10 championship. Actually, Ohio State to upset Michigan. I'm going to go iffy on that one as well. But what about Northwestern winning the Big Ten championship? Not happening, so I'm going to put an X there. South Carolina upset Clemson. I'm going to give that an X there. Pitt to win the ACC. I'll put an X there. USC to upset Notre Dame in the college. USC to upset Notre Dame. Not going to happen. USC's 5-6. They're under 500. They're just fighting to be bowl eligible. Texas A&M to upset LSU. I'm going to give that one an iffy. I'm going to give that one an iffy right there. But what about Washington to upset Washington State? Now, Washington's won the last 4 contests over the Washington State Cougars. So I'm going to give that one a possibility. That gets a check mark. So I'll give them that. So, beat South Florida on Friday. I'll give him that. Win the AAC championship. I'll give him that. West Virginia to upset Oklahoma. I'll give that an iffy right there. Texas to win the Big 12 championship. I'll give that one an iffy right there. Northwestern to win the Big 10 championship. Not going to happen. Pitt to win. South Carolina upset Clemson. Not going to happen. Pitt to win the ACC. Nope, ain't going to happen. USC to upset Notre Dame in the Coliseum. Not going to happen. Texas A&M to possibly upset LSU. I can see that. That I can see. I can also see Washington upset Washington State. I can really see that too. So let's think about that one. So as far as I'm concerned, for all this chaos to happen for UCF to get there, I got to say no. Because, okay, I'll give them, they'll beat South Florida and win the conference championship. But everything else is either iffy or ain't going to happen. The only other thing I could see is Washington upset Washington State. That's all there is to it. Pitt's not a good football team. Clemson's just clicking on all cylinders, and they play South Carolina. Now, I grant you that's a rivalry game. But USC to upset Notre Dame after the season they've had ain't going to happen. Every USC fan can dream. In your dreams, I hate to say it. Because you guys have struggled. You're going to be lucky to be bowl eligible. If you upset Notre Dame tomorrow, you're only going to be bowl eligible. And for the Southern California Trojans, that's a losing season for you. I'm sorry. Because USC's a young squad. Notre Dame is just clicking on all cylinders. They're undefeated right now. So basically for Notre Dame, beat USC, you're in. I mean, that's all there is to it. And the bottom line is, I hate to disappoint all the UCF fans, but you don't have enough chaos in this world to get into the college football playoff. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is. There's just too much stuff working against you. And that's all there is to it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for my closing thoughts. Now, you've heard me talk about the Northwestern Wildcats all season, the Big Ten West champions. Now, a lot of people are saying, Scott, Northwestern's only 7-4. How in the world do they get into the Big Ten championship game? Well, here's the thing for Northwestern. Yes, they are 7-4, but they're 7-1 in conference play. They're 7-1 in the Big Ten. If it weren't for those 4 losses, and if it weren't for all those losses in non-conference play, we could easily be talking about Northwestern being maybe cracking the top 10 this season. Look what Coach Pat Fitzgerald has done. He really has that football team gelling at the right time. Clayton Thorson, 2,565 yards passing this season, 12 touchdowns. Isaiah Bauer, he's 130 yards short of having a 1,000-yard rushing season. He has 870 right now with 6 touchdowns. Wide receiver Flynn Nagel, he has 746 yards and 2 touchdowns receiving this season. The only conference loss for Northwestern was to Michigan earlier this season. Other than that, they've been racking off conference wins like there's no tomorrow. So this is a warning to both Michigan and Ohio State. Don't take the Wildcats lightly. There's a lot of teams that have done that, and they've paid the price for it. So I'm telling you now, the Big Ten championship game, you're thinking 7-4 against a team like Michigan or Ohio State, this is going to be a laugher. I wouldn't quite say that if I were you. Because let's think about it. Northwestern, their non-conference record was pathetic. Inside the conference, they're just gelling like they're just chilling and gelling like there's no tomorrow. But I will say this, though, in all fairness. Pat Fitzgerald has really turned the Northwestern Wildcats around. All those non-conference losses don't mean squat. And now Northwestern plays Illinois tomorrow. But it's going to be very interesting to see how Northwestern responds in a big game situation like this. Because you know they're playing for the Big Ten championship. And everybody in the Evanston area, and Evanston is a suburb of Chicago. Keep that in mind. And you know everybody around Evanston and the Chicago area they're going to want Michigan because they want another shot at them. But whether that happens tomorrow or not, that remains to be seen. But I will say this though, there's a lot on the line on Saturday, but there's also a lot on the line tonight. You know, Oklahoma, West Virginia, the winner's going to play for the Big 12 championship. Those two could meet one more time. Just say if Kansas upsets Texas, those two will face each other one more time. But Texas is probably going to run all over Kansas today. And you better believe Washington State, the winner takes the Pac-12 North. And the right, they'll probably face Utah for the Pac-12 crown. So think about that too. But what about the Mountain West? Either Utah State or Boise State will be playing for the Mountain West crown. Their opponent, I don't know. That remains to be seen. It's going to be a very interesting weekend. But I will say this. It's going to be crazy tonight. Tomorrow, I don't even want to think about it. But because there's a lot at stake this weekend in college football. And there's going to be a lot at stake tonight and tomorrow. And anything can happen on any given Saturday. Or in this case, any given Friday and Saturday. And it usually does. And that's all I'm going to say today. And I'm going to tell you right now, good luck to all teams tonight and tomorrow, and may the best team win. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here this morning for this for this special edition of the Scott Manning YouTube College Football Podcast pregame show. I will be back tonight at either 11:30 or midnight to give you my wrap up of the West Virginia-Oklahoma game and the Washington State game. You'll get my complete reactions to both games. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here tonight. Here this morning, I mean. I know I'm used to saying tonight because this is my first morning show. But I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here this morning. I will be back tonight to give you my complete reaction to number 6 Oklahoma, number 13 West Virginia, and number 8 Washington State, and number 16 Washington. And you'll get my complete reactions tonight, the final numbers, the final analysis. You'll get and you'll even get my reaction, and I will be handing out game balls tonight. So keep that in mind. Thank you guys so much for being with me here this morning. You guys have a great day. I'm glad you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. You guys enjoy the rest of your holiday. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless. And I'll see you tonight. Thank you so much for being with me here, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you.